All right, so welcome to the quick, hopefully educational Neon integration with ClickBid webinar. So first I have this fancy schmancy infographic. What we're talking about, to kind of explain what we're talking about, and what we are talking about is the ability to share data back and forth between Neon and ClickBid. So Neon as a CRM tool allows you to store all of your donors, communicate with your donors, keep track of donor responses, track donations, do campaigns, manage events, sell tickets. I mean, it's a huge, CRMs are huge management platforms, and ClickBid is a much more focused platform on silent auctions. So in Neon, we have something. ClickBid wants something that Neon has, which is accounts. So a typical Neon account might have 10,000 donors, and 400 of those are going to go to this spring fling. So obviously we don't want 10,000 donors converted to bidders in ClickBid. So we want to make sure that we try to limit that in some way. So what Neon has is what are called events. So they can create events and they can have attendees signed up for those events. And that's a great place for us to look for those accounts that we can turn into bidders. So in that case, you have these accounts here, and then they can get pushed over to ClickBid. On the opposite end of that spectrum, ClickBid will end up having sales, donations for auction items, ticket sales, text to give, all that stuff. And Neon wants that data because they want to tie it to an existing donor so they can track all that activity and make better decisions on how to solicit more down the road. So, maybe a specific building campaign for people who showed an interest in, building campaigns in previous years. So that data needs to get back to Neon from ClickBid. And of course, in the middle of all of this is BidKit. BidKit is our integration software that basically holds hands between Neon and ClickBid. So with that said, I'm going to switch over to my Fall Fling Gala screen. And what I have loaded is my, let me quick refresh to make sure we're still logged in, is I have my ClickBid account. So what we need to do is we need to link up with Neon. First things first, you go to Software Settings, connect to BidKit. Every ClickBid account comes with a connection to BidKit. That's automatic. And under Settings, Integrations, you can then log into, actually, you know what? I apologize. Let me get into the proper admin. So let's go to Software Settings, connect to BidKit. That's a little better. So then if I go to Integrations, now I can connect to one of 3 different integrations. In this case, we're going to work with Neon. And we need what's called an organization ID and an API key. Now in Neon, the way you get those is first by logging into Neon. Every user of Neon has a unique login URL. We actually call ours keywords or slugs or that, but in Neon they call them customer IDs. So in this case, ours is inside the URL. They're all in there after the clients. It's called ClickBid Sandbox. So we're going to remember that. Log into Neon, and then we're going to go to System Settings, System Users, and edit the main system user. And that's how we find our API key. So making sure API access is enabled and grab that API key. In BidKit, I can type in ClickBid Sandbox for my organization ID, and I can type in ClickBid API key. I can put that from my system user account. Once I add my integration, you are all set. And literally, you can be, that's all you really have to do for the basic integration of Neon and ClickBid. Now, I mentioned earlier in my infographic that a Neon account may have 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 donors, but really what we want to focus on is just those that are interested in the gala that we're doing the auction for. So if I go to Neon Settings, Integration Settings, I can choose that event inside Neon. So this is kind of a sub-selection of Neon. Again, we do not want to import 10,000 or 100,000 bidders from Neon. We want to just get those 400. So I can go ahead and choose whatever event I want to associate with. And this is a dynamic list based on their account. Obviously, every Neon account is going to have a different set of events. I'm choosing the Hoot for Hope 5K in my sandbox. Now, store module is another option that you have with Neon. Neon has the ability to set up products, shopping carts, customers, all that fun stuff. I'm not going to go into all of it, but you can choose to use that as an integration so that when we send sales from ClickBid back to Neon, then we're going to process that the way that a Neon store would process it. And that's about as much as I'll say about it without getting into too many details. There's a little bit of documentation here that you can read on it, on how that works. My recommendation is that if you do want to use the store module, come down here and say yes, and then try it once. Kick the tires with a sample auction item, close it, sell it, exactly what we're going to do, and then send it over and take a look at it in Neon. Once you've made that, then you are all done. Now, the first thing, again, in that infographic was to get accounts into ClickBid, and there are two ways to do it. I'm going to show you the easiest way first. And the easiest way is to do nothing. You've made no changes, everything's going, you've got your auction items in ClickBid, you're ready to open the auction, you're ready to check people in, and we're all set. So let's say somebody registered to bid. Let me go to, so bidders, event, launch Butler. Butler being our Fisher-Price version of the admin. This is great for volunteers. So to set the stage, you're at an event. You're at a hotel ballroom. You've got 2 or 3 6-foot tables set up. You're standing behind one of them as a volunteer checking somebody in, and then somebody walks up and says, "Hi, I am Walter Smith." And for whatever reason, you tap on this Add New Bidder and you type in Walter Smith, put in a phone number, and you check them in. You tell Mr. Smith, we just checked you in. You're going to receive a text message that has a blue link, and it's going to take you right to your bidding page to start bidding. Walter Smith says, "Man, that's awesome. Thank you so much." And he's going to make a donation. So let's say Walter Smith decided to give $1,000 in donations, and we'll come back to him because he needs to check out and so on. Well, as a volunteer, you did all that. Everything worked. Nothing stopped you from doing it. Walter made a donation. Everything's good. However, you'll notice that we didn't actually tell Neon or ask Neon or do anything with Neon. And so the question is, well, why did we even create this integration? So what we'll show you is once you get to the end of reconciliation, it's all good because we're going to be able to send that data back to Neon anyway. However, if you didn't press Add New Bidder and you did type in Smith instead, you say, well, let me look up and see if I can find you, Mr. Smith. And you do a search. Now I have a lot of Smiths as bidder results. Bidder results is what comes back first. This is a list of results based on what we have in ClickBid. However, if you scroll down, you'll notice that there is a results from Neon section. So once you've created that link to Neon, we're going to create this section in Butler. Now this is real time. This is actually searching the 90,000, 100,000 donors in Neon. Neon added a new endpoint recently that just is awesome because it lets us search the entire Neon database for that account. And so now I'm getting all of these results. I'm getting Billy, Brandon, Heather, John, Mildred, Pamela, and Rufio. Let's take a look and see. I want to find somebody in Neon that doesn't have a Smith. I've been using that for quite some time, and it's getting a little old. Oh, Johnny Cash. Let's do, well, Lilist Mermain. Okay, let's do a search for that. So back to main menu, and somebody says, "Hi, my last name is Mermain." So I'm going to type in, I didn't catch all that. Was it Mermaid? What? Okay, so Merm, and I do a search. And I get no bidders, but I get Little Mermaid, Triton Mermaid, and Lilith Mermain. Let's just go with Little Mermaid. So Little Mermaid's checking in. The beautiful thing here is, again, I searched the entire Neon database, and all I have to do is tap on their name and actually hit OK instead of cancel, and it will automatically create a bidder. So now Little Mermaid is bidder 110. I just have to confirm a phone number, and we are done. You can tell them, okay, Little Miss Mermaid, you have a bidder number of 110. We just sent a text message to your phone number. You can tap that link and start bidding. So that is an example of how we've pulled data out of Neon and created a bidder out of it, which is awesome because now I don't have to import a bunch of names. It's not confusing. It's super simple. Again, if I type in MERM, MERM again, I can say, oh, okay, so Triton's here, or Lilist is here. Maybe they spelled it wrong. I just want to change that. But the thing is, I can pull that data right out of Neon, and it's showing up right alongside all our other results. So to a volunteer, to an organization, to a staff member, it's all transparent, and we're handling it behind the scenes. So let's say we go back, and I believe it was 110. Let's say Little Mermaid wanted to give, she's loaded, rolling with cash because she found it all under the sea or whatever, and she gave $2,500, and so now she's ready to check out. So let's go back to main menu, and I'm going to actually simulate now, again, painting the picture. We're at the end of the event. We took those 2 or 3 6-foot tables, we've set them up, people are ready to check out, and Little Mermaid swims up and says, hey, I'm ready to check out with my $2,500, and I'm going to look her up. So I'm going to type in MERM again, and I see Little Mermaid, and oh, you're right, she sure does have to check out. And I'm going to choose, check. She's rolling with waterproof checks, and now she's checked out. And let's check out, I think it was Smith. What was that? Walter. Yep. So Walter has his checkout, and so now I'm going to process his with cash. Now, if you're following along my path here, we have 2 bidders that we've checked in, 2 bidders that have made donations, and 2 bidders that have checked out. So we're at the end of the event. The lights are turning off. We're going home, and those are all processed. But one of them, Walter, has no relationship whatsoever with my Neon account. But Little Mermaid has an association with my Neon account. So then the question is, how do I get both of those sales back to Neon? Because again, based on that infographic, now we're on the bottom part where we're actually sending sales back to Neon because Neon wants those. So what we do is we actually go to, I'm going to first show you the event payments page in ClickBid. So the event payments, our goal is to get this top box, which is called to process, completely empty, to clear it out, get it processed, get everybody accounted for and cleaned out, and then to get this box, the processed box, full of all of the checkouts. So you'll see here that I have a bunch of checkouts. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of individual items that have checked out. So I have 10 items that have been paid for. In ClickBid, we're going to group them, but in Neon, we're going to send them individually. So if I pop over here to my BidKit account, NeonCRM, export sales, these are going to match. So I have 10 entries, and each one is for one of those sales. Now remember, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I have 10 entries here. So we actually break them up. If somebody checked out for 5 items, they're going to have 5 entries here. The reason is that Neon may not want absolutely everything. There may be an auction item that you just don't want to send to Neon, so we break them up so you can choose which ones you want to export. So right now we're looking at data in ClickBid, and you'll see here that there are different states of where these sales are at. Some of them, they say complete, complete, complete. We've gone ahead and sent those over to Neon. Jumping down here, this one's complete and this one's complete. And then you have these other 2 options. You have NeonCRM contact ID, another one. Then you have a box that I can type something into, and I can search Neon, but all of them have this export button. So once I'm ready to export, once I figure how this works, I can go ahead and start sending these to Neon. I can either send them individually or I can batch. So I can check those, and then I can come down here and export bulk. But before I do that, I want to make sure that I've got everything organized and sent over, or ready to send over. In this case, because remember when I created Little Mermaid in our example, I imported her directly from the results I found in Neon. When I did that, I kept a record of her Neon account ID, which is 1658. So now any sale that I want to send back to Neon already has a relationship. So I can just go ahead and press export. Well, first I need to check. I need to choose some options here. So in every sale, you do need to assign it to a campaign. And these are pulling directly from Neon. So I'm going to choose Hoot for Hope 5K. And you can also choose a purpose and a source if you want to, but those are optional. I'm going to leave those blank. But you do need to choose a campaign because every sale that comes back to Neon has to be associated with something so we can track it with reporting and so on. So once I've selected my campaign, now I can go back to Little Mermaid and I can export her sale. So I go ahead and say, yep, and it was sent to the queue, and the queue is going to run in 1 minute and 10 seconds. We run those every 5 minutes just so that you don't have a backup. If you wanted to export 200 sales, your page would load and load and load and load and load. We actually send them to a queue. The area that I want to focus on now is this Walter Smith. You'll remember I just created him as a bidder. I didn't create any link whatsoever to Neon. So there is no link. So I don't know, but I think to myself, I remember in Neon I did have a Smith that I wanted to assign this to. So what do I do? Well, unless I know exactly what the account ID is, which I'd have to go into Neon, do a bunch of searches. Instead, I can just click this link here that will say search Neon. And it's going to go, again, back into Neon and search the entire Neon database and see who it can find that would match Walter Smith. So then I go to 7 that were found, and I look and I think, oh, I don't see any Walter Smith, so we do not have a Walter Smith in Neon, but Heather is his wife, and I want to associate it with that instead. That's what I was thinking about. I knew it was Walter, but actually in Neon we have him under Heather. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that one. And now when I export this, I'm going to send that sale to Heather Smith. I'm going to come up here, choose my Hoot for Hope, and I'm going to export. So now I didn't catch my 5-minute cutoff, so the next queue is going to run in 4 minutes and 36 seconds. But now you can see here where it says pending queue processing. That means it's waiting in that 5-minute period to be sent. So we just need to hang on and wait it out. You'll also notice, though, that Little Mermaid made the last cutoff, and she did get her sale sent, and it says complete. So what you're shooting for is to try and get all of these completed. I'm going to actually send Brandon Smith's. Whoops. I keep doing that. I'm going to choose Brandon Smith. Then I'm going to send, let's see, Johnny Williams. And again, the reason I can send them without having to choose a contact is because when I created this bidder, I created it from an existing Neon account inside of BidKit because it was connected. So I said, all right, let's do Smith. And in here, there was a John Smith. So I clicked on that. It created a record. And at some point, we updated it to Johnny. Actually, it looks like he's since been deleted. But anyway, so you can once you create them from Neon, that creates an automatic link. And that's really the best way to do it. So while we're waiting for those other ones to come in, let's go to let's see, fundraising donation pledge list. This is going to show me a list of all of the donations that are coming in to Neon. Now we notice that here's this Little Mermaid record. So we got that one in. I'm going to go ahead and click on the 2,500, and now you can see that we've successfully sent Neon a $2,500 donation associated with the Hoot for Hope 5K campaign, and it was Fund a Need, number 99. There's no fair market value associated with it, and it was a $2,500 check. The other thing that's nice here is that the date of this was 4/3/2018. This was the time that the donation was made. So if the donation was made 3 days ago, then it would be 3/31/2018. But the nice thing is that Neon does keep track of when that was created. So we did go ahead and create this at 9:20 a.m. on the 3rd. So this is actually the date that the donation was made. So that way, when you do go back and historically track these, we do keep a time and date of when that person made the donation. So you'll know, oh, that was at the event because it was the 31st. Now, what I'm doing is I'm somewhat sandbagging and waiting for those other 2 to come, or 3 to come in. But ultimately, what will end up happening is you're going to see them right above Little Mermaid, and they're going to come in on top of it. So that's really, again, just a really quick review. You go ahead and open up your BidKit account, go to Settings Integrations, add your organization ID and API key. Then you can go and choose an event that you'd like to associate with, and that's it. You can kind of rest assured, you can wait until the event, and then during the event, you can check people in by doing a search, picking a person's name, and it will automatically make them a bidder. But you can also rest assured knowing that if you open your auction early and people register themselves to bid, you won't have to worry about matching them up later, because what we're going to do is when the sales are done and they've made their purchase and they've checked out, you can go ahead and do a quick search in Neon and match them up to a record. And it really is that simple. Then you export them out, 5-10 minutes. You can have most of your sales already processed and sent back to Neon.